Am I the asshole for lying about the venue cost for my wedding? I, 34 female. Got married last June to my husband, 37 male, at a beautiful botanical garden and then did an informal late lunch at Olive Garden. From past experience inviting my friends and family anywhere, I knew about 75% of the people invited wouldn't show from my side, and my husband didn't have a lot of people coming from his either, so we went for the smallest package they offered. We were allowed 25 guests not including me, husband, and officiant for 2 hours at this specific spot in the gardens for $250. The next package up was $2K for 150 people, 4 hours, reception seating, catering, and serving staff. As expected, we sent out the obligatory invites, and as expected only about 25% of mine RSVP'd. Between both sides we had exactly 25 people show up. The day was amazing and we didn't worry about any of the people who didn't show. We live streamed it via website and on Facebook through our phones on tripods for the long-distance family. Well, fast forward to this week and the topic of weddings came up in a group chat with some of my high school friends. One of the girls was upset because she had sent out invites to her wedding, not happening till early 2024, and so far only like 40 of the 200+ invited guests have RSVP'd. I told her there's still time for the rest to RSVP too, but she was still upset. So I told her what happened with mine and how I knew most wouldn't show, and even some who had RSVP'd had ended up flaking and not showing, so I was glad I didn't book the ridiculously expensive package because it would have been a waste of time, food, and money. Completely forgetting that 3 of the friends in that group chat are some of the ones who RSVP'd but no-showed. Everyone who didn't show didn't know about the cheaper option and assumed we had sprung for the $2,000 option, so apparently they'd felt guilty for the past year thinking we'd wasted a ton of money because the live stream showed what little amount of guests we had in person. They're all mad at me for lying about the venue cost even though I'd never told them any details past where it was happening. They had Googled it themselves to see the price points and the website didn't show the elopement option that we had chosen. I DK how I'm an asshole for not sharing the cost of my wedding, but they think I am and have been ignoring me since that conversation happened a few days ago. I don't have a ton of friends in the first place because making friends as a special needs mom is rough, and when you've got 2 special needs kids it's even harder. I would hate to have some of the only friendships I still have end because of this. Am I the asshole? Update. While responding to comments, I got a Facebook message from a different friend and she let me know that the girls who are upset have been discussing me with an ex-best friend. Ex-best friend, and I stopped our friendship because she was lying to people saying I use my son's disabilities for sympathy and make it seem like he's worse off than he is so people will give me stuff and pity us. So now we're at high school level drama because the ones who are mad now agree with ex-bestie since I posted a birthday wishlist for my son a couple days ago. He's turning 10 on Sunday and within the next month will be having one of 2 amputation surgeries, so the wishlist has birthday gift ideas and surgery recovery stuff on it, and I only posted it because my family asked me to share it so they could send him presents. I have now blocked those girls on everything and realize I should have ended those friendships a long time ago. I'd rather be lonely than deal with their BS. I wish my son hadn't had such a hard life, but I have done everything I can for him to have everything he needs, but never expected this craziness. He's had 20+ surgeries and has multiple disabilities which have caused the surgeries. This is all just ridiculous. Not the asshole. At all. If they're mad because they felt guilty this entire time, that's on them. They're mad at their own behavior. You were smart, and it worked out. They were flaky and are now annoyed that you predicted their behavior. Not the asshole. How are you the asshole because they no-showed to your wedding? The money they assumed you wasted was 1, an assumption, and 2, not why they should feel guilty. Literally not having friends would be better than putting up with grown-ass adults who give you the silent treatment for any reason, but especially not because of their poor behavior. You're not the asshole. You had no obligation to share the cost of the wedding. Their assumptions being incorrect is entirely on them. Besides, it doesn't really matter which option that you chose, they didn't show. Either way, there was food prepared for them and was wasted. They should feel guilty no matter what for being a no-show, especially if they didn't tell you beforehand and just didn't show up. Not the asshole. Your friends have a really warped sense of ethics. Ignore them. Are you sure that they're not upset about being called out in a group chat for flaking on your wedding? Am I the asshole for no longer doing anything for my stepdaughter after she disrespected me? I, F38, have been married to my husband F45 for 7 years. We have 2 kids together, F5 and F3, and my currently pregnant with our third. He also has a daughter from a previous relationship who is 17 years old. Since being with my husband, she at first never liked me and made it known she doesn't like me. I admit at first I was pushy because I wanted her to like me and I wanted to be considered a friend, but I have since apologized and instead show her my love by doing favors for her. Since then we have had an okay relationship and I was happy with that because I wanted to take it at her pace. That being said, me and my husband were talking about how we were gonna manage him going to her graduation. She is graduating on June 20th, but my due date is on June 19th. The plan is if I gave birth on time he would go to the graduation and then come back, but if I didn't then he would spend the whole day with her. We told her our plan and told her regardless her father would be at her graduation, but there's a chance he may have to leave after. This got her super upset and she started yelling that she could never have her dad for herself and she deserves to have the dad for the whole day. She then told me she was tired of me having kids left and right and I was stealing her dad away. She ended her argument by saying she hated me and that she wishes the baby would die. After what she said, I haven't been doing anything for her. Whenever she asks for anything I say ask her mom or dad. Whenever she needs money I say the same thing. I can't get over the fact she wished death on my child. I've been getting texts from her mom saying she didn't mean it and that she's a kid and she shouldn't be held responsible for something said out of anger, but I believe she's old enough to know what she's doing and saying. Edit. A lot of you guys are saying I'm an asshole for taking time to myself. She made it clear that I mean nothing to her and even went as far as to wish death on my unborn child. I'm not gonna let someone disrespect me and then come around and do everything for them. She can go to her mother and father since she holds them so highly. Thank you to the people who say to focus on myself and my pregnancy. I will, and of course my 2 other kids. I don't know if I can stay with my husband because of him not sticking up for him, and we may separate for a bit, meaning he would have to find somewhere else to stay since I own the home. As for the people saying she didn't ask for me to come into her life and for other siblings, that's something she needs to take to her father. He was the one who married me and the one who impregnated me. As for the ones asking if I have a step-parent. Yes, I did. My mother remarried when I was 12 and I was always respectful. We have a great relationship and I consider him my kid's granddad. Another edit. No, I didn't get pregnant to spite her. It was in the moment and we weren't thinking about her graduation. And for the people saying she deserves to have her dad for the day she can. I don't care anymore. I'll always be seen as the bad guy because I want my husband with me if I give birth. Either way, he can spend the whole day with her if he likes, and I'll just have my friend be with me. Not the asshole. She's a matter of months from being an adult. She should know better than to say something that cruel. I get her wanting to have a day with her dad, but talking to him about that instead of wishing death on your baby would be more effective. She's definitely old enough to be held up to what she has said. It's fine to be mad at her, but remember she's your husband's child. She'll be in your life for as long as you're with him. Take your time, but eventually you and her gotta have a conversation on your relationship. Have you considered family therapy? Info. Did she ever apologize for her outburst? Not the asshole. She's 17 years old, not 7. She needs to apologize immediately. It says a lot about her parents that her mom is trying to make excuses for her entitled, selfish daughter, instead of punishing her and making her do the right thing. Info. Are you giving her pathway to correct and make up for her behavior to mend your relationship? It's true that she is still a kid, but kids need to learn how to handle their emotions without having nasty outbursts. She needs to have consequences, but I don't think it would be fair to hold this against her forever. Am I the asshole for cleaning the attic as told? My 14 female mom, 45 female, told me to clean the attic after I got in trouble 2 weekends ago. She's very into spring cleaning and we're behind schedule, so she figured I could start cleaning the attic as my punishment. My old toys and dolls were up there, then boxes of stuff mom and dad packed up and didn't want downstairs. For my stuff, I was told to throw it out if I'd never touch it again. For the rest, I was told to avoid my sister's 32 female stuff, then to use my best judgment on the rest. If it hadn't been touched, toss it. If it was cool or interesting, keep it. When I was up there, when I finally started, a lot of it was stuff I'd never seen. Old clothes, old decorations, lots of outdated things that could not even be called vintage. 3 bags of trash later, I found boxes of photos that had been behind stuff. The layer of dust on them was an inch thick. Looking through, I saw some photos of people I didn't recognize. Maybe a few of my sister when she was a kid. I went to ask my dad, 52 male, if he wanted them. I'd asked him a few times about things. This time, he didn't come up and just said do whatever mom said. Because they hadn't been touched and I didn't recognize anyone, I threw most of them out. My sister finally came home and it was her turn to go through the attic. She came running down about an hour later asking if we'd moved her photo box. I said yeah and that they were gone. Apparently, the wedding photos of her mom and my dad were in there as well as a lot of her mom's family photos. I didn't know and it didn't occur to me that that's what they were. I saw the wedding photos but didn't realize it was my dad. I feel really bad and she's calling me a little brat but I only did what mom and dad said. They're not mad at me but now she's mad at them. Am I the asshole for just doing what I was told? Edit. To clear something up, I did pull out the photos that were obviously of my sister. Edit 2. Someone messaged me questions. My sister is my half-sister. My dad married his first wife when he was 19ish. She walked out on them. My sister was already out of the house at college when I was born. Edit 3. The box of photos was in a box of my dad's stuff. He came up for everything else I asked him about. Those he didn't seem to have any interest in. I saved the pictures of my sister because I recognized my sister because of a birthmark. No one else was distinguishable. Edit 4. I know I messed up because she's upset. My mom really just wanted to purge out the attic so we can move and dad didn't come upstairs to look at the photos. They were in his boxes and he said something about it being too much work to scan them. I told Kat I'm sorry and she told me she doesn't care. I didn't think it was a big deal because they were dad's photos and we don't put photos out in frames or anything because they're on their Facebooks or I put mine on Insta. Edit 5. I knew I was getting in trouble because I went to prom with my boyfriend and he's 18 and my mom doesn't like him that much. Edit 6. I keep getting notifications of new comments, some with questions, but I can't see them when I click them. You are the asshole you found a box of wedding photographs and you didn't think, maybe these are important, cool, interesting and should be kept. This feels distinctly like you were weaponizing what you were told to do. Well, they didn't tell me not to throw away these photographs that were obviously mementos likely to be important to someone in this house, so in the trash they go. It would have taken you zero effort to just set them aside so that everyone could have looked at them before you chucked them. The fact that you recognized that your sister was in some of the photographs should have been a giant red flag to you that these shouldn't be thrown away. This was a complete asshole move. You are the asshole you have been told to leave untouched your sister things. You see pictures with her on it, what you do? You touch them and toss them. So not only you did not what you have been told to do. You did a damage to your sister. You are the asshole. There's no way you didn't know you weren't supposed to throw away those pictures. You didn't use your best judgment. Gentle Esh. Photos are not the same as a bunch of other old stuff. It's wildly different from chucking out clothes or trinkets. You're 14, so perhaps you didn't know that, but I can understand why your sister is so upset because it seems incredibly obvious that photos are different and should have been kept. Especially wedding photos, no matter whose they are. Woo, not even the issue. Why are you at 14 dating someone who is 18? Am I the asshole for buying fast food during a wedding because I didn't like the food? Okay, I need help. Currently using AITA. This situation has escalated to a whole other level. I, 20F, got invited to my cousin's, 22F, wedding. I was pretty excited. Went shopping with my sister to find a dress and got to FaceTime my beautiful cousin to show her my dress. Dude, I was so excited. Cut to the day of the wedding. Great atmosphere and people. I even got to know some of my cousin's friend and the groom's family. After all the dancing, it was time to eat. Lots of us were hungry. We took some food and ate it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I took some mashed potatoes and some pizza. I didn't really like it. The aftertaste was kinda weird. Unfortunately, a lot of the other dishes consisted of meat in some form and I'm a vegetarian. I was pretty hungry so I decided to get some fast food. I did see people leaving so I assumed it was fine. However, I still wasn't sure so I wanted to check with my cousin and the groom. They were too occupied with picture taking so I decided to just quickly pop out to get some fast food. I told my family I would be back quickly because I wanted to eat something and I didn't enjoy the food that much. There was a plaza with some fast food places 20 minutes away so I thought it was the perfect opportunity. I got my food and ate it in the car. When I was done, I went back in to greet everyone again. I saw that my cousin was with the groom enjoying some food. I walked up to her wanting to give her a big hug, but she looked upset. She put her plate down and pulled me aside asking me where I went. I told her that I went to get some food. She said, "Seriously? We paid for all this food." I said sorry and she told me, "Never mind," then went back. I was pretty upset, but I shook it off for the rest of the night. The next day, I woke up to texts from my aunt and cousin. They were basically asking me why I snuck out to eat food when my cousin spent all her money on making sure we were fed. I felt like this was a conversation that deserved to be held over the phone, so I called my cousin first. The conversation turned into yelling. I didn't know she would be so offended. My aunt joined in and told me I should learn to be more respectful and ask for approval because my behavior wasn't appropriate. I gave up on saying sorry and I just hung up. The situation exploded by evening. My cousin and aunt went back and forth with my mom, saying they felt like I was secretly judging the wedding and had bad intentions by sneaking out. I kept trying to explain that I didn't want to intrude on the bride and groom taking photos and that I let the others know. Everyone else in the family remains neutral. Did I mess up by not telling my cousin? Should I have just been awkward and quickly asked her, or was I fine with just telling my parents and siblings? Am I the asshole? Thank you in advance. Edited to add that someone asked a good question and I forgot to add that in somehow. She did tell me that there would be vegetarian stuff, but it was just a couple things and I ate them. Didn't end up liking it. Not the asshole. You literally disappeared for 30 minutes max, I'm guessing? Sometimes at weddings I don't see some people for hours. Sounds like they were already having a bad wedding day and they just took some frustration out on you. If you took sandwiches and ordered pizza straight to the wedding venue, maybe you would have been the asshole. But I really see what the problem is with what you did. You are the asshole. You don't tell anyone at the party that you're leaving just to get food elsewhere. That's rude. Whoever is hosting will probably be offended. Not the asshole. I think you probably could have waited until after the wedding, or eaten more beforehand. But given you tried the food and you were still hungry, it seems to be you solved the problem in a discreet and efficient way. Lol, not the asshole. You really did nothing wrong and they jump on conclusions out of their empty heads. You don't need anyone's permission for that. Everyone sucks here. I really feel sorry for the groom. On what should have been the most important day of his life, his new bride was watching to make sure everyone was eating. He must have felt very bad.